Well, good afternoon, everybody. I am Wes Allen with DM Tales, and if you have watched any of my videos, you realize I am not in my normal set. That is because of a couple of reasons. First, hey, Dave and King Eric are already here. Thank you. First, I yesterday had probably the worst customer service experience with Comcast that I have ever had, and that is saying something. I have had epic duels with Comcast over the years. Yesterday was one step too far, and I actually installed T-Mobile Home Internet, and I wanted to see if it could handle streaming. So that's what I'm doing here. I am doing this via T-Mobile's home internet service. I do have my mesh network that is plugged in, and I want to see if it actually can handle it over the long term. So we'll see how it works. Um, and that's what we're going in. Incidentally, my upload speed on T-Mobile is faster than it is on Comcast when I'm over at my house. The church where my office is, that does have the business account, so it's a little bit faster. But I want to see how this actually works. So you guys can tell me how it looks as we go on. The second thing is, I don't know if you live on the East Coast or if you're aware of what's going on the East Coast, but outside it looks like the set of Blade Runner right now. And you can't be outside, you can't open windows, and I can't run my air conditioner while I am actually trying to stream because the air conditioner is literally blowing onto my microphone. I'm going to try to do my voice isolation on that and see if I can maybe get around that a little bit. But even now, I'm running voice isolation on this just to get through my computer fan noise. Tell me if you can hear that in the background. And so I'm at home here, so I can breathe and not melt. And this might be where I am for the summer because, as you guys have pointed out, like this is my library of books that I have either reviewed or need to review. I have a couple up here. Like I've talked about Coriolis in the past. I have a bunch of the Adventures Reincarnated that I have to look at. I haven't done Mutant Crawl Classics or Dungeon Crawl Classics yet. I'm still waiting to do all those and have to get to them. So this is my shelf of things for games that I might play or might never play. And but this is where I might be for the summer because I can have air conditioner and breathe. And I just brought one of my studio lights over. I have another light over here that's kind of acting as my hair light and background light, and it looks okay. A lot of times I'm going to be I have a window right here, right on this side. A lot of times it's going to look fine because the sun pours in, and I have a curtain over it, and it's a great fill light. Today it's a little weak because there is no sun because I'm living on the set of Blade Runner. So that's kind of where we are with all of that. I just have a couple of things I want to go on today. Don't have a whole lot of news from around the web, but I did come across a Kickstarter that I wanted to point out that looked really interesting. I just saw it on Mastodon a few minutes ago. In fact, I wasn't going to run anything today, but let's take a look at this. This is Luncheons and Dragonflies, and it looks like a really kind of cutesy game. Let me see if I can get in there and scroll it. You can see that it only needed $2,500 to pass its goal. It has reached almost 3,000. It's almost to its first stretch goal. So this is not a huge project by any stretch of the means. But you play little forest critters who can do things like use acorns as shields and, needles as swords or rapiers. And it's got kind of a cool feel to it. And it's not that expensive, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to bring it up. For 18 bucks, you get the PDF copy of the game and a coupon to do the free soft cover. And if you do 30, you can get two copies of the game. So you have one for yourself and one for the table. And this seems like a really interesting game to maybe play with kids. And I have a 5-year-old. I am currently looking for some kids to play with. And one of the interesting aspects of it is that it's about hoarding dice. So it seems to be that you're using all D4s. Let's get back to the camera as I get off this. I'm a little standoffish or a little concerned about the D4 because D4s hurt when you step on them, and this is like a kid's game, and I imagine D4s getting left all over the place. But the D4 concept is You are trading and swiping and stealing. So it's about this dice hoard mechanic. I need to get the preview for it just to see how it looks. But it does look like it's going to be an interesting little game to play and maybe a nice fun one to play with kids. If you have any kids, that would be something that would be worth looking at. And that's all I got for the Kickstarters this week. It's only got 5 days to go. 18 bucks for a copy of the game is not much to spend. It's going to be its target goal for shipping is December of 2023. Because they're doing print on demand and PDF, I have a feeling that they're going to meet that goal. We will have to see, but it looks pretty good. It looks like it's pretty interesting stuff. I'm going to download the Quick Start Guide and take a look at that. So if anyone else is interested in it, you can take a look. And yes, King Eric, a D4 hurts more than Lego. That is absolutely true. Very good. So shout out to everybody who's here. Mage's Musings is on. King Eric is on. Dave is on. Dave, I did appreciate your bringing out of And So It Begins. It was a good Ambassador Kosh moment. Was very good. King Eric is on, and I think that's everybody. Who else is on here? Have I missed anyone? Oh, Epic Solo. Hi, Epic Solo. How are you? Thanks, everybody. So I almost didn't have a stream this week just because I've said cloud, but I figured I might be able to do it over here, and hopefully T-Mobile keeps up with it. So I'm kind of interested. This is a fun experiment for me. And I wanted to do a couple of quick looks while I was at it. First, I just got a late birthday present from a friend of mine. One of my earliest videos is about Gregor the Finder. So for some reason in all of my worlds, bugbears exist who give up the concept of being warriors. They just don't think it's fun anymore. And they all decide to go into the restaurant business. I don't know why this is. It just popped into my head one time, actually from my first adventure with my Monday night group. And so ever since then, there's always been a bugbear somewhere who's doing some kind of work inside a tavern or a restaurant. It's always kind of fun. Hey Ron, how you doing? And so he gave me for birthday, one of my Monday night players gave me a mini that he painted of a bugbear wearing a chef's hat. Let me get that in so it's in focus. Carrying a giant spoon with a sword hilt and a shield. And if you can see, you can't really see a shield, but oh, yeah, you can. It's got a knife and a fork on it. This is indeed Gregor the Finder, who is one of my first videos on this channel. What Gregor was is he had given up war and decided he was going to join a cult. So maybe he was from California. And he was in this cult that was worshiping the shiny and was the lone survivor of the Monday Murder Hobos invasion of said cult to try to retrieve the object that they were using as their idol, which they needed to pay off some debts for the town and save it from being overtaken by a corporate takeover. It was a Hallmark movie. But they spared him, and he decided, I'm going to follow my true passion, which is to find exotic ingredients for restaurants. So he didn't even want to like become a chef. He just wanted to like go into procurement, and that's Gregor. He kept on popping up for the first part of their adventure, and eventually became the manager of the restaurant at the tavern in town, the Pickled Cookie Tavern or Pickled Cookie Inn, I think it was. And so that is kind of fun. Yeah, it was a cult of personality. Very good, King Eric. And so that's Gregor. And from there, I've now, like in Basic Fantasy, there's old Zeke who runs a barbecue restaurant. My Castles and Crusades, there's a bugbear who runs a tavern in town. And I think even in Easy D6, I have a bugbear who's running. Yeah, she's running the inn that the players all go to. So bugbears are just always in the restaurant business in my worlds. But I was really appreciative to get him. I wanted to show him off for the past couple of weeks. I keep forgetting to bring him over to do it. So that's Gregor the Finder. How do I sound, by the way? I'm using my old Blue Snowball mic with the voice isolation on. It's a little further from my mouth than I would like, but I'm not pulling all my recording stuff over here just yet because this space also serves as our guest room. And if my in-laws come over, I don't want to have to completely break down the universe to get over here. But if I'm here all summer, I might do that. Second, I wanted to give my first thoughts on Index Card RPG. Not ready to do a review on it. I need to go back and look at the mechanics again just to kind of get them in my head. But I do want to give a couple first thoughts with some things that I really enjoyed about it. First off, in Index Card RPG, every scene has a target number. That is really a neat innovation. So you're not constantly trying to figure out what type of encounter this is. Anything happens in the scene, you got to beat that number. I really like it. Thank you, Mage. Yeah, I'm going to be a little softer because it's farther away, and the noise cancellation will break up that a little bit. So I just love the idea that you don't have to think. It's just this number, and that's it. That's a really cool innovation. I think I might have also talked about how in Index Card RPG they don't necessarily have an advantage disadvantage. They've taken the math of it and said if something's hard, it's +3 to the target. If it's easy, it's -3 to the target, which I do believe is the mathematical way that advantage disadvantage works out. I really like that. I have gotten into the GM section, actually got through it. I'm now reading the different worlds that they point out. There is some great advice for designing creatures, how to buff them to match the encounter. I really like that. And how to craft an adventure to make it challenging. One of the coolest things is on page 92. Yay, page 92. The three T's, and the first one is timers. Now, I first encountered timers in the 5e campaign where I was a player, and that was kind of cool. Well, I just discovered that my GM for that actually got the idea of timers from Index Card RPG, and I thought they were a really cool idea. I haven't used them too much, but after reading the timers section inside Index Card RPG, I can't wait to start throwing them in more. In fact, I did use it last week with my Basic Fantasy RPG group. And I put a number on the screen, and they're like, "What is that?" And then the number started counting down, like, "Run!" And that was a lot of fun. So timers are really cool, and I can't wait to use them for an in-person game because I like the way that Index Card RPG does it. You literally stick a die. So if you want a timer that's going to be just 1 to 4, you stick a four-sided die with the 4 up, and then like everybody does around, you go, "Okay, 3," and you never explain it. You just change the number. That was really cool. It heightens the anxiety. It's going to stop them from just sitting around and going, well, what if we do this? Or what if we do that? Or what if we go here? You're sitting in the middle of a dungeon and having this conversation is not the best idea right now. Make a decision. The timers kind of push them forward and also increases the danger level because you can do things like unleash torrents of molten lava at them, which should be kind of fun. I really enjoyed that. That's probably one of the coolest things that I've seen in Index Card RPG just yet. I also was not aware that it uses always on initiative. My first encounter with that was in Shadow Dark. I am a huge fan of it. If you went and looked, excuse me, my nose is all screwed up because of the dumb smoke. If you went and saw my live stream or the recap live stream for Shadow Dark, you saw how always on initiative works. I really like that it keeps the spotlight moving from character to character to character, player to player to player, and how the GM can kind of interrupt the players when it comes to the GM's initiative. It's really cool. I like the idea of re-rolling initiative when you get into an encounter and change it again. Because it's going to throw everything off and it just stays on. It allows the conversation to move. And it's not hard line like you do. So no, you can't actually answer that question. You have to wait till you come around to your circle. And that's not the way it works. You're allowed to interact with people. It's just a way of shifting the spotlight back and forth. Really cool. The other thing that I really liked, and I'm going to check the chat in just a second, guys, was Battle Fury. And I've done this in Basic Fantasy RPG more than any other system that I've used. If you've ever had an encounter where the PCs go and everyone rolls like a 3, that's annoying because I mean, I can narrate that. Like you slip on a rock, the thing ducks and you clang it across the wall and sparks fly up. Like I can narrate it, but 3 rounds of that gets really, really annoying and boring. And so in Index Card RPG with the Battle Fury is you put a die down, you start it at 1, and every roll in that scene that goes up to that gets added to that number. It goes around and everybody goes to initiative. You put it up to a 2, and that gets added to the number. So the chances are that you're going to continue to miss by the time you get up to like a +6, which is the highest number because you're told to use a d6 for it. It's going to be reduced somewhat because you've got essentially a +30% chance to hit on every attack or every action. Um, I like that. it is a way to kind of move the battle on without necessarily overpowering everything, because there's still a chance that you're going to fail. I kind of enjoy it. Those are three of the innovations of index card RPG that popped out to me thus far. There's a whole lot more in the system for folks who have played it. I know a few people here have, but it's really a lot of fun. I cannot wait to do a full review. And I wanted to do an overhead shot today, but again, I didn't bring my camera over. I also don't have room. My whole desk is just filled. This is where I run my games in the evening time when I'm online. But I wanted to show you how the aesthetic of the game, and I think I did a brief overview of it, but they really kept the idea that it's all going to be Sharpie drawings. And that's from the opening paragraph of the letter that, or the closing paragraph of the letter that introduces the book. It's just called A Glorious Mess, and it started with some pencil or Sharpie drawings on a napkin. And they went, yeah, we'll keep that as the aesthetic. Really, really fun. Let's check out chat for a second here. I sound a little bit more muted than normal. Yep. Do the bugbears have to wear hairnets over themselves to keep the hair out of the food? No, OSHA does not exist in my worlds. OSHA, is that OSHA? Or that's not OSHA. It would be there's no real sanitization or sanitary Department of Sanitization or anything. So yeah, food is just added spice, I guess, or hair is just added spice. Timers are super useful. Yes. Do you have timers for players who take a long time in the turn? Eric, I have never done that. I think if I ever tried to run 5e again or some epic heroic system again like 5e where the turns can take forever, I think I would. I would limit folks to maybe a minute or even 30 seconds. Like you've got to be thinking ahead. I've not done it yet. I haven't needed to for basic fantasy. Easy D6 doesn't need it at all. Castles and Crusades tends to be much more straightforward. That super heroic type role playing games like 5e is something that's going to take. That would be something that I would probably put timers in for. Um, I am still on the fence. I don't think, because I've backed a couple Kickstarters since then. I don't think I'm going to back Tales of the Valiant as much as I'm rooting for them. They're almost up to $900,000 on their Kickstarter. I think they're going to crack a million, and well, good for them. Cobalt Presses, they're good folks, and I really hope this takes off and this becomes the continuation of 5e that people can feel good about using. Um, and but I have thought about picking up 13th Age, which is kind of an extension of 4e concepts, which I know gets a bad rap. I've never played 4e. I have the fourth edition Dungeons Master's Guide, which I've heard is incredible. I haven't even looked at it yet. Um, but it does it without the tactics. One of my friends is really into theater of the mind. Hi, Calvin, if you're watching. And he loves 13th Age and what it does. So I think if I want to try a super heroic fantasy game that I'm going to run for people, that's might be one that I pick up. Again, I'm still also waiting for Fantasy Age to come out with their print book so I can finish reading that, but we'll take a look at it. Yeah, Dave, 13th Age I have heard is really good, so I'm really interested in that. Let's look at other comments. Smoke, I'm not dumb. It's my intelligence of 14. My intelligence is 14. I can't read. Okay. Smoke. Yeah, I'm not dumb. Maybe I am. Super versatile for any index card is super versatile for any genre. Yeah, I'm Dave, I'm with you. I think genreless games have more of my attention. The knock on genreless games for a long time was that they could do everything okay but nothing well. And I think in a lot of respects, when you look at stuff like Savage Worlds and like Open Legend and Index Card RPG and Cipher System, I think that adage doesn't work anymore. Uh, I I really think that there are a lot of games that you can take and throw anything at them, and the system is elegant enough that it's going to pick it up without hindering any stuff. And also, these systems encourage you to do your own add-ons to the game style so that stuff can work even better. I know Savage Worlds does that with their superheroes setting, among other things. So they can tweak the mechanics a little bit, but it's always still going to be the same game. And you could pick up one character sheet and put it in another setting. I think I have said this on stream before, but the one that does that the best for me so far is Open Legend, which is a shame because you can't buy it in print right now. They're in between printings. I think they're redoing the material before they can re-release it. But Open Legend is cool because literally everything is just narrative. So you add an ability to it, and how that manifests in your world is just narrative. So you could, and I that's my dream, is to create a world where you turn a corner and it just shifts realities, and now you have to re-narrate your character. I think that would be a fun exercise. I think like drama clubs should be doing stuff like that. Definitely, but it would be really fun at the table. So I'm really into genreless games right now. And I've reviewed like four of them in a row. Um, is a marriage a for your sensibility? Yeah, okay. Yeah, Dave, I have, and David said, I'm not putting the comments on the board because I don't have that plugin for OBS yet. Dave pointed out that Dungeon World might be a good idea for heroic fantasy as well. Incidentally, I have played Dungeon World. I played an immolator. He just burned things. My friend Calvin, who I mentioned about 13th Age, he ran us through an adventure. Um, and Powered by the Apocalypse is one of those systems that I don't think I would ever like to run. I have, where does it, where is it? I do have, as I knock things on the floor. I do have Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is I think it's a beautiful book, and I think the system is really good. I want to play in it. I don't want to run it because I don't think that I'd be a good GM for Powered by the Apocalypse. But I really enjoyed playing it. I had a blast. Everything's theater of the mind. I'm just going to go out and try all sorts of wacky stuff. There's penalties, there's downsides, there's partial successes, and it was really cool. So I did like playing Dungeon World. I haven't picked it up yet, but I loved playing my character. I can't wait. He's going to run another adventure for us sometime, and I think it will. I did also forget to mention. That's why I knocked stuff off my table. I needed a landscape format Dungeon Master's Guide or GM screen um, because the one for Numenera, which is one of the systems I want to run in person sometime soon, is all the stuff is for landscape. So I can't. All my stuff is portrait for my commercial ones, and I didn't feel like spending $35 to pick up a piece of vinyl. It didn't seem right to me, so I made my own. Yay! Look at that. So these are just 3-ring binders that I cut up. I can't even show it on camera because it's so big. Look how huge it is. 3-ring binders that I cut off. They are not the same type, so you can see that one of the ends is actually much taller than the others. But this folds up really nice and it sticks on my shelf. And that's an achievement unlocked right there. And I can just keep throwing duct tape on it to keep it together as it breaks. So that was really fun. Um, do I have a favorite Goodman Games adventure? That's from King Eric. Um, I have not read any Goodman Games adventures except for the Adventures Reincarnated. And I have to say, I have 1 through 5. I don't have, I really want the Village of Hamlet, but I have no connection to the Temple of Elemental Evil. It's just not something that I'm interested in looking at. And it's because it's a 2-volume set. It's just huge and expensive, and it's not really for me. Um, so I have 1 through 5, and of the 1 through 5 of the Adventures Reincarnated, my favorite so far has got to be the Isle of Dread. And the reason why is because in the Isle of Dread, they were able to talk to the actual people who designed the module. So they have Zeb Cook talking about it. They have the people who created the dinosaur who was eating bad leaves that drove them a little cuckoo. They had them talking about how that came in. The person who did the conversion was a kid who played through it solo, and he talked about how his character died at a spot in the dungeon in the central plateau on the island. And when you read the 5e conversion, he put his character's skeleton there, which I thought was a nice touch. So of them all, uh, Isle of Dread is probably my favorite thus far. Expedition to the Barrier Peaks is another one that I really, really liked. I loved what they did with that. They're all really good because of the opening essays. And when I first looked at it, the price, I was like, I'm not spending that much money for a module. And it's not. Those opening essays are actually little bits of history that are worth picking up and reading. So if you haven't looked at any original adventures reincarnated line, they are worth checking out. I will say this: if you're at the point where you just don't want to, you want to make sure that WotC doesn't get any money, go try to find it used. and you can get the cool book, and WotC doesn't get anything from it. I don't want to punish Goodman Games because I think they do terrific stuff. I'm also like WotC, you can take a long walk off a short pier. I'm really annoyed at the Pinkerton raid. That was kind of off for me. They just can't get out of their own way. But the original adventures reincarnated are magnificent. And if you can't find one used and you really want it, I got just go buy one and check it out. It's really really good. They are so much fun. Yeah, and those are not Trapper Keepers, Eric. Those were 3 ring binders. So that's what I got for that. As I made a mess on my shelf. Yay! Let's tell a story, and then I'll give some updates on my channel and what is coming up because summer is about to hit and the end of school is next week. So let's have some fun. So last week at my Basic Fantasy RPG table, which was the only table that ran last week, they went back to that cave that they almost got killed by the skeleton who was casting magic missiles at them. That was a lot of fun. They went back, they healed up, they went back. They're looking for lost product. Coffee beans had gotten stolen in transit. They're trying to recover it. So they had to go back to this cave. They figured they needed to. And there was a reason why creatures were still in the cave. It's because the guy wasn't that bright. But they walked in, and in Dungeon Alchemist, there's an asset you can throw down that's just called Bottomless Pit. And so I threw that in the map and went, oh, well, that'll be fun. And so I was thinking to myself, what could be in the bottomless pit? Because I almost thought that if I didn't put anything in there, they were going to spend like hours, like, let's put more rope together and climb down, and more rope and climb down, and it's just never going to end, and maybe someone would fall and die, and that seems like a rather awful way to pass. So what I did is I put 21 sturges inside the pit, and they were all kind of roosting along the walls of this thing deep down in the shadow. And when they kind of looked in, 7 of them flew up. Should have put more. I mean, I probably should have doubled that and put 28 and did 2 waves of 14. But this freaked them out because when the one landed, it landed a hit and started sucking on its blood out. They're like, "What is this?" They're trying to hit these things and get them off. Basic fantasy RPG sturges aren't as they're not as painful to take off. Like ripping them off does not do damage to you, and you get a bonus to hit them. But if you miss, you hit your opponent or you hit your ally. That was kind of fun. So these 7 sturges came up and they're freaked out. Did a little bit of damage on them, not much, but enough to go, this is not a good place to be. And they were still convinced there was a giant thing that was down there that was going to fly up after the sturges. So after they cleared out and they're starting to talk, I put a timer down, and that's when it started going from. I think I started at 4, and I went 4 to 3, and they're like, "Run!" And they took off down the hallway, and they came around a corner, and they came to a dead stop again because in there I had put a small pool of water, like an underground pond, in this cave, and on the other side of the pond there was a walkway that they could walk around to get to. And I think I even took a screenshot to show them how the elevation changed and there was one place that kind of sloped into the water. So that was kind of fun. Um, Eric, I'll answer your question about Hasbro in a little bit. So that was kind of fun. They were convinced that there was something that was going to kill them in the water. I don't know why they think I'm trying to kill them. They're just higher level now, so they can attack deadlier things. But I didn't put anything in the water. I just wanted it to be a barrier and a thing that freaked them out. So around that, like I said, around it on the other side, I did put a flattened area that they could walk through. It was about 5 feet wide, enough for them to get by. And there was another cavern that they could see on the other side. Well, they're doing all sorts of stuff at the water. They're throwing rocks in, they're throwing mushrooms in, they're making all sorts of noises. Boom, boom. It's echoing off the cave. And this alerted the guy who had stolen the coffee beans in the first place. It's an Etten and his 2 pet dire wolves. He had trained the giant tiger beetles out front to be their guard dogs. And of course, they're now on alert, so they're waiting to ambush, and they succeeded in their surprise checks, so that happened. And the party's edging around. They are absolutely certain something's going to whip out like the keeper at the gate and just snatch them into the water and drown them, which maybe next time I'll do that. Um, and they march in, and the dire wolves pounce. And it's one of those where nobody could hit for like 2 turns. That's one of the places where I love the battle fury die to maybe increase the chances. And they were going back and forth. The end's like pounding his fist, and he has a 10-foot reach. So eventually, or his chest, he eventually decides he's going to reach over and start attacking. So he's coming up and pummeling, and is just missing wildly, which was not fun for me. I wanted him to be a little much scary and make them run away, but the dice are what the dice are, right? What are you going to do? He'd had enough of a bonus to hit. He just could never hit anybody. The dire wolves were getting some licks on, and people were they were they were hurting a little bit, and they couldn't necessarily back away and be free. It's a little scary for them. And this is where they used really good tactics. Folks moved to the side, and as much as they could, other folks started shooting arrows at them, not worrying about they're going to hit their allies. But the fighter magic user elf decides, I need a line to line up for my lightning bolt. How deep is the pond? And I said it was only like 3 feet deep. It's not a deep thing. If you've ever been in an underground cave, a lot of them are shallow. Okay, I'm jumping in the pond. Okay. And he's convinced that he is going to be killed, that there's something that's going to attack him, but taking down this Etten that was attacking them, um, that was more important. So I'm bravo. You take one for the team. That was really well done. So he jumped in. I determined that it's like 5 feet down. He could move like 10 feet and just line up. He couldn't get the any of the other creatures, but he could definitely line up the Etten, and he cast lightning bolt. No, yeah, he's standing in water. No, the electricity's not touching the water, so he's not getting shocked for that. I didn't worry about that. And he rolls really, really well on damage. He takes his Etten down to about a third of his hit points. And now he's like, now I need to get out of here. And so I made him struggle to get out of the lake. There's nothing in there that's going to kill him, but he was absolutely convinced he was going to die. From that, I come up with the Etten is going to, in this heightened enraged state, he's just going to do a massive swing, increase his arm or decrease his armor class to make him more open to attacks. I wanted people to be able to hit him, but he's going to have like I think I said like a +8 to hit and do like twice as normal damage. And he's just about to do that. And he I just got an alert on my laptop over here. He's just about to do that, and someone takes a bow and blink and puts it right through his eyes and puts him down. Everybody's breathing a sigh of relief. I was really excited for them. It was good tactics that they used. I wasn't worried that it wasn't too much damage that they did. They'd had enough of those scares recently. And they did indeed recover a bunch of treasure and the coffee beans. Got a significant amount of XP. They're going to level up. They're going to need to level up because things are going to be getting rather interesting for this crew. And they're all about level 6 at this point. I want to get them to level 8, which is going to take a little bit of effort on my part, and theirs. But it was a fun encounter. It was one of those where it was a very small crawl, but it was enough changes and different types of encounters that it was really exciting for them. It kept everybody engaged, and the final fight was a lot of fun. So that was kind of cool. We're going to see what happens next. We play tonight at 8 o'clock, and that should be rather fun. And let me go back to the chat. Someone had a question about Goodman Games and Hasbro. That was Eric. Did Hasbro try to stop Goodman Games? Hasbro did not try to stop Goodman Games. Goodman Games has licensed these original adventures reincarnated to them. So every time you buy something, Hasbro gets a cut. That's the idea. It's also the reason why the OAR adventures cannot be put out as PDF, because that's a stipulation as part of the contract that they had, which is annoying. King Eric wants to share a story about a player of mine. He's playing an Owlin. Oh, that's cool. He wanted to fly into a stream to see what was in it. He missed the part where I had mentioned that I was hello. Boing. How much damage did he take, Eric? That's what I want to know. So that was my story for today. Not so much, but let's talk about some channel news. I am trying to crack the algorithm because um the growth of DM Tales has kind of stalled, or at least slowed. It stalled for a while and it's starting to grow a little bit again. And the algorithm didn't like me for whatever reason. Maybe it's because I do 30-minute reviews and 10 minutes of that are on layout and design, which was interesting. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to start doing shorts with clips of some of my videos, particularly some of my older videos that a lot of folks have not watched. Like I'm going to do the Gregor the Finder video. I did one with the gnomes. Are the gnomes telepathic in my worlds? Yes, and I'm going to explain that in a second. Which was, and I'm still learning the art of doing the clip or the remix from my existing videos. So my earlier ones are not that great. And in fact, I had someone say in my gnome one that I looked kind of like a gnome. So that was interesting. And actually, and interestingly enough, that was the first personal insult someone had ever laid at me, which was cool. And before that, it always just been kind of generic drive-by, "You're woke, stupid, go away," which is so lazy and dumb that they don't count. Um, but this is the first one. It's like, "Hey, he looks like a gnome," which is like, okay. So in one respect, hey, I have arrived, because I was always wondering why I wasn't ticking people off enough. So that was kind of fun. And the other thing was, is I got to respond. That's really cool because I wrote an entire novel about gnomes. So I was really happy because I think gnomes are awesome. So that was kind of fun. And I did indeed write a novel. He took 3d6 damage. I did indeed write a novel called In the Land of the Penny Gnomes, which is kind of a portal fantasy in the land of imagination. It's under assault by copyright lawyers. It's not a great novel, but it's mine, and it's on sale at Amazon. So yay! So that's what I did with that. So that was kind of fun. So that's what I'm trying to do to kind of crack the algorithm. One of those things. If you want to keep supporting, I'm really thankful to Misfit Adventures. That was my first mention in someone's video because I think I don't think, like Epic Solo, I think you mentioned me in a description, but I actually got mentioned in a video, which made me so happy. And someone actually commented on one of my videos because of it, which was kind of fun. Um, so, but if you want to do things like, comment, and share, and all the things, it'd be so much helpful. Why is this not muted? Let's mute this and see if it actually still talks. Um, so if you want to do that, like, comment, share, subscribe, all those cool things to help me beat the algorithm and go through. I'm like, I'm not trying to get rich or do anything. I'm just trying to fund being able to do things like get Kickstarters and equipment and pay for subscriptions for streaming and things like that. That's all stuff that I use the money for. I do have that Patreon, which I need to figure out how to promote without feeling awful. I'm really good at promoting other people and terrible about promoting myself. So that's kind of that's why I'm even cringing as I do this pitch. But if you can do that sort of stuff, you want to support the channel, absolutely would love to have you do that. Thank you so much. Um, let's talk about the next stream. So there will be no Thursday stream next week. The reason why is because it is the last week of school and everything is a half day, which means that were I to do a stream from 12 to 1, I would be late to pick up my little one from school. That tends to be frowned upon. So I'm going to not be doing a Thursday stream next week. Instead, we're going to be doing, what did I call it? Skipping Lunch Evening Edition. Because I can't change the title of the show, it's Skipping Lunch. On Monday at 8 p.m., I am going to be talking to, let me get his name right, Doug Shute of Victory Condition Gaming. This is a real treat for me because Doug treated me so well at the Free League booth at PAX Unplugged back in December. And I was really interested in how he started out having working in the TTRPG industry as his career. And that's what we're going to be talking about on Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm so grateful that he's coming on. It's very exciting for me, and I hope you guys are able to tune in and actually go look at some of his videos. He does some cool reviews. He does some really cool looks at his experience of being in the convention circuit, setting up the booth and all that, and does some live stream play as well. So if you're interested in that, Victory Condition Gaming, he'll be on Monday night. Very, very good. Just change it to skipping school. No, it's skipping lunch, dang it. Very good. That's kind of fun. And then after that, on June 22nd, which is a Thursday at noon, John Fredericks, who wrote the Dwarven pickup truck from Sharp Mountain Games, is going to be on, and we're going to be chatting about our experiences in the TTRPG hobby space. What got us interested? What are the types of things we like? What are some things we might change? And that should be a lot of fun. John is a great guy. He's been a lot of fun to email back and forth with. We have been trying to figure out a time for us to get on together for a while, and it's nice to finally be able to do it. And I feel like I have the ability to do it now, which is also really good. There are some other folks that I want to line up for guests to talk on stuff. So skipping lunch sometimes might be an interview process, and it's something I'm really looking forward to. So for both of those, please feel free to come out. Love to have you. I love that you guys are all here watching with me. Thank you so much. Also, you can see that if you look at Index Card RPG, I am, let's see if I can see me. I am about halfway through. There we go. If you can see that. It's going to take me a little while. I'm currently reading the different world settings for it. There's 5 that they have in different types of genres. And they're pretty interesting. This is one where I wish it maybe had been fleshed out a little bit more. But after that, I need to go back and reread the GM uh, uh, advice section. I speak in public for a living. I need to go back and read the mechanics and character design and stuff like that, just so I can get ready for my review and work on it. I hope to have it out the last week of June. So what I am going to do, because David asked for this, is that I'm going to next week do a video on how you take a map from Dungeon Alchemist and bring it into both Foundry VTT and Arkenforge, which are the 2 virtual tabletops that I use or have used so far for my gaming. And I actually need to go through and practice that a little bit to make sure that I can do it live. And that should be a lot of fun. So if you're interested in doing that, that will be a video that I put out hopefully by next Monday, if not Monday, on Tuesday. Got to beat the algorithm and keep a consistency up. So that is what I'm doing with that. And that is kind of where I am at this point. That is all that I got. It's a little bit of a shorter stream today. I didn't have a whole lot of Kickstarters to go through and only one story to tell. But thank you so much. I'm glad that this actually worked. Someone in the chat tell me how the video quality has been, please, so that I can see if it's actually worth doing this. And is my audio in sync? That's another thing I have to make sure of. Um, but it's been a lot of fun to do this. I'm glad that this setup kind of works a little bit. I do hope that the stream quality was pretty good. But that's all that I have for you. I'm looking forward to next Monday to talk with Doug, and after that to talk with John Fredericks. This is going to be a fun time. I do have an announcement that in July, talk about trying to beat the algorithm. In July, my content is going to be a little bit more sparse. I take my big break in July, first 3 weeks usually. That's when the family is kind of resting and enjoying each other's company and trying to recharge batteries. So I definitely will not be doing live streams every week during that time. I might only be able to get one video out those first 3 weeks of July. We'll probably be putting out a bunch of shorts from my older videos at that point, just to see that there's still content on the channel for you all to look at, especially for the older videos if you haven't seen them before. Thank you so much for giving me an update on the video quality, and the audio is a little low because I'm using my older mic and I have the voice modulation or the voice isolation. I probably could turn up my gain a little bit on it. And I will do that a little bit later. I'm also talking too far away from the microphone. I need to get my boom to stick it right here in front of my face. But that's what I got. Thank you so much, everybody. So until we see each other again, happy playing, everyone.